I loved that kind of work of cultivating community gatherings and inviting others into getting to the depths of themselves who are also passionate about collective change.
Welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, hosted by me, soul-fueled storyteller Kylie Fatchett. We dive into the truth-talking, unedited stories of metamorphosis, growth, and evolution. I deeply believe that sharing our stories holds transformative magic. Join us to listen to future humans, change agents, extraordinary ordinary people, healers, and paradigm shifters as we honor the power of our messy, magical stories. Let's get wild and finally fucking free together.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another podcast. I have the beautiful Isabel Bagsik in today. How are you, Isabel?
Hello. Yes. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
I am so excited. I just listened to a podcast that you had recorded with the beautiful Sam Garcia, and you were talking about your approach to branding and speaking directly to the energy and the soul behind your business. And I was like, I need to talk to this woman right now. So welcome. I'm very, very excited to have you. And would you like to introduce yourself for people that don't already know you?
Yes. Hello, everyone. I am Isabel Bagsik. I am founder of Unconventional Bliss, and I am a Filipino American soulful brand designer and creative wellness guide. So it really excites me to support heart led, revolutionary visionaries and leaders and healers with really bringing their authentic selves into the digital realm through branding. So, yeah, so excited to dive into that.
Oh, there's so many questions already in my head. I love. Actually, let's start from when I am talking to someone who does things differently to the average, so paradigm shifters. I always want to know how you've come to this point in your own journey. So I know that you did some more traditional jobs in a traditional ways. So do you want to just, yeah, how did you end up here, and how did your heart lead you to this form of design?
Yeah, it's a great question. Love an origin story. So for me, I did study design and digital media. I have a double bachelor's in university studying design digital media. And from there, ended up being a designer art director in kind of different industries, but in the realm of marketing, agency, studios, things like that. And it's been amazing to be able to learn about what goes on behind the scenes, even in a magazine publication. And from there, I've also been really passionate about developing events and community gatherings. Really, when I look back in the intersection of creativity, wellness, culture. And so just seeing that through line, just a common theme throughout so many years, it ended up feeling like a natural progression of this culmination of what I've been doing and enjoying in a way that really is shaped that feels really good and authentic
Mm.
to me. And yes, I've been able to, have the incredible opportunity to be a designer for these high profile clients and brands and celebrities. But it's such another different kind of gratification to know that I'm having this immediate impact with this, solo entrepreneur or healer and have that conversation one on one with them. And what's funny is that the catalyst to build my own business was because there was job layoffs happening at my job. And so some people were being let go. And I was moving through a lot of internal work and had support systems where instead of a feeling of urgency, where I've had a similar feeling on another experience, I actually felt excited and a little liberated and free, where it was like the universe pushed me off the cliff saying, girl,
Yep.
it's time.
Fly.
It's time to do your own thing. You know how to do it. And yeah, I just took that as the sign to build my own thing in a way that I've only fantasized about or just did after hours as passion and putting that together. And so now it looks like combining my passions for community gatherings, for connecting and supporting those who are really doing culture shifting, world changing work and bringing in more of the intuitive creative rituals into the process. Because in the design industry, it could be very rigid, pixel perfect, which definitely has its
Mm.
place. But for me, I wanted to play with other things and experiment, explore other things, which so far it's been really well received. People are experiencing immediate, profound insights around
Yep.
their business. So it's been really beautifully affirming that this framework works and is really exciting for folks and feels really good for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I was like magnetized as soon as you started talking. And in that podcast episode, you did this little tiny process, and I was like, oh my God, my brain, like I messaged you, probably like some crazy ladies, like, I need to have you on the
Mhm.
podcast. But I was like, oh my God, this is profound because when we're doing so many things from that, like thinking and the right way or the pixel perfect or however you want to say it way, we're just not we're not providing a connection to all this other information that's out there and available to us that we can sense into. But because we're doing it up here, neck up, we're not
Mm.
actually even perceiving. And I feel like when we do things with ritual, actually, I want to come back to ritual. First of all, I want to say how inspiring it is to hear someone like I'm just about to turn 50 and I'm not a big like age person, but I love the fact that people like you are following passion earlier in their lives rather than waiting until they turn 40 or 50 and having like a midlife crisis to do it. So, yay for that, because I think, the world will change quicker if we allow ourselves to step into the fullness of what we're meant to be doing in the world. Um, Talk a bit more about the ritual aspect, because I feel like as a young person, or even as a kid, I was very connected to that. Like, there's more than just us, and the ritual helps to connect me to all of those things. And creativity wise, I'd get into that beautiful flow state when I was drawing or whatever. And then, I don't know, I went to university, studied science, got very black and white and cut off from all of that. And now I'm kind of coming full circle. So, can you give us an example of a creative ritual? Because I just love the language of that.
Yes, and I love what you are talking about, remembering your younger self, your inner child,
Oh,
and I'm definitely excited to talk about practice that I've incorporated, which I think you listened to and really responded to.
hmm.
And it's so tied to like what you said about children. It's so tied to that, where we are connected to our raw, unfiltered creativity if we connect back to our inner children, inner artists,
Oh,
young
so
artists.
much.
If we were to observe children or have this idea around children, we often see them just playing or, coloring outside the lines, jumping to one craft to another, and if they get bored, they stop the thing and they try something else, or they're done. They know when to stop. They don't monetize their hobbies. There's not essays or deadlines.
Yep.
They're creating because they simply love that process of creating. And sure, they'll be proud or they may love the end product, but their attention spans might be on to the next.
Yeah. It's so true.
Exhausted. There's just this beautiful excitement around the creative process. And many times, oftentimes in Western society, this is socialized out of us, uh, where we are buttoned up.
Mhm.
We can't go outside the lines. We have to fit a certain box.
Yeah.
All these things where it feels really restrictive, but creativity is is not. It has to be flowy. It needs to be let loose.
Yes.
It needs to be experimental and weird and messy and all of these things.
Mhm.
And that's what I wanted to play with too. And
Mhm.
so, in one of the intuitive um, branding rituals that I invite my clients into is using the non-dominant hand technique, which I came to learn is an art therapy.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah,
Yes,
you,
yes,
you
yes. Yes, I just when I was saying before, you did this and I couldn't remember exactly because I've listened to so many different things that you've created in the last little while that I'm like, which bit was that? But with the left hand, I should have brought
Yeah.
it in. My left hand had a lot to say. Anyway, continue, please.
Yes, I'm definitely interested. We definitely have to go back to that, what you got.
I'm
Um,
gonna have to pause and go and get my journal.
so this is such an incredible technique that I've incorporated into various scenarios,
Yeah.
clients, group settings. And so it's been amazing. And the little context of how profound this is, like one time I was facilitating this in-person retreat for these social impact leaders, and we were doing a bunch of inner child work before they were getting into developing their new mission statement, vision
Yeah.
statement, refreshing their whole internal system. But we did a lot of connecting with their inner child, playing with pipe cleaners and crafts. And one of the practices was the non-dominant hand technique to
Mhm.
respond to arms. And they really enjoyed it. And one of them even shared that she must have texted her brother or something, letting her know about the retreat that she was on. And she came back after the break and said, "Oh, my brother, he's like a scientist in biology, in some category of biology."
Yeah.
And he was asking, "How do you know this? I've been telling you to do this. I do this practice every morning to journal." So I loved hearing that.
That's
Um,
very
and
cool.
Right? Like, this is from art therapy, but it's also, backed and supported by someone in science.
Mhm, mhm.
So, yes. So what is this technique I'm talking about? This is using your non-dominant hand. So the dominant hand would be using the hand that you write with daily. So for me, I
Mhm.
write much with my right hand all the time. I'm
Yeah.
not ambidextrous.
Yeah.
So just wanted to name that. And so the non-dominant hand would be my left hand. And this ritual, this practice that I invite folks into, usually around a prompt around branding, around the essence of their business, I would ask them a prompt or a question, and they would write with the regular daily writing hand
Mhm.
and then respond with their non-dominant hand. And the insights come through in like 5 minutes or so.
Mhm.
It's that quick, it's that powerful, and it's so beautiful. And so if you're listening, I've invited folks into doing this many times, but if you're listening to this episode, pause, do
Yes.
this, put a
Please
time,
do this.
yeah, put a timer for like three,
Yeah.
5 minutes,
Mhm.
and then come back, play the episode, we'll get into it. But the prompt that I'd love to invite you all into could be around like, what is especially if you're going through a brand refresh or a pivot, which we
Mhm.
were talking about.
Yes.
Um, yeah, you around the question of what is a message that the spirit of my business needs to tell me.
Mm.
It could be as high level as that. If you have a
Yeah.
more specific question that you're
Mm.
moving, definitely tailor it. But yeah, with that, you would write the question with your regular daily writing hand, respond with your non-dominant hand, and let it flow. Don't overthink it. Even if you're writing the same word over and over again,
Yeah.
like, let it
Let it
be.
be. Mhm. And I was
And
just thinking, let it be. Don't try it so hard.
yeah, and set a timer for like 5 minutes. Come back to this
Mm.
episode and see what comes through. Just be observant. And it's amazing. I'd love to learn more about what came through for you, but
Oh,
yeah.
I am going to have to pause. I'm going to go and get this journal because it will actually inform the next part of our conversation. Because yeah, I'm going to pause. Hang on a minute. Okay, this is actual journaling. So this is the 15th of September. We're recording this 8 days later. So the question that you asked in the episode that I answered is very similar. So what does the essence of my brand need to tell me today? And then this is what I wrote. Jeez, it's messy. Slow, flow, trust me. I have your back. Quantum leaping, love and light, magnetic, shine, glow. Just ask me. This is all. Sunshine is our secret. I don't know what that bit means.
Mhm.
Sweet and sassy. Don't forget the warrior inside of you. There you go.
Wow.
That was my 3 minutes. And I was like, and then I sat with it, my dragon on the front of my journal. So then I sat with it and I was like, all right, what does that open up for me? Like, what does that mean? And the thing that I got mostly was, and I said this to you before we started recording, that my brand felt like I was playing it safe and prettying things up. And I'm like, when you meet me, I am like super enthusiastic. I also swear like a trucker, and I don't like, I just felt like I was trying to kind of polish off the edges, but I don't want to turn up like that. And I don't when I'm speaking. So why should my brand like polish things up or pretty them up? So that was the biggest thing. And then the trust thing obviously is a huge thing. So off the back of that, I've changed my brand completely. It's just like,
Okay.
oh,
And
okay.
the power of this really quick 5 minutes
Yep.
long is
Hmm. Yeah,
and just it activated you to research
totally.
your website. Like
Like
that's
totally. This weekend I've been like a woman possessed. And it's because I think, as I was saying to you, I was in the middle of a launch too. And what I was noticing was that because I was so passionate about what I was opening up for the very first time, it was untapping this like strength and truth talking.
yes.
And
Mhm.
I don't mean like being provocative for the sake of being provocative, but I mean challenging the status quo because there's a healthier, better, more sustainable way of doing something. And like that is what I get fired up about. And that's why I have a podcast called Wild and Finally Fucking Free, right? Because it's like break out of all of the conditioning or out of all the whatever that's limiting us. And then I'm like, but then I look at your brand and it reminded me, your exercise reminded me a little while ago. I had a client who she said to me, the way that you are in person is very different to what your website looks like. And I was like, alarm bell, right? Because your visual brand should be speaking the same language. And I think that where I went off track was not, trying to be a particular way that I thought I needed to be, but I'm not like that naturally. So I think the power of this is waking you up to probably what you know, but
Mm.
you're not tapping into or getting under the surface to actually pull it out. And that's what the left hand does. It's very cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this is huge. I love what you're sharing. And it is really about getting deeper into what is beyond the logical thinking mind. Yeah, the context of the process is getting to this other part of your brain that's not linear, not logical. And um you can think of it as connecting with your inner child. When you look at it, it
Yes.
will like a child wrote it
Yeah.
because you're writing a little messy, unless you're ambidextrous. It
Definitely not.
it will look a bit messy. It will look like a child wrote it. And the way that you had this realization or this realization of it's not feeling true to who you are, and
Hmm.
even that and getting activated to uh redo your website, that's amazing and that's so exciting and it's so true. There's so much that can be unlocked when you
Mm.
have find branding true representing you and the depth of your work. Like aligned clients will be ready to pay,
Yeah,
confident you're
exactly.
show up because you're not going to be embarrassed or like it's not really like a tight fitted sweater. You can wear
Yes, I love that analogy.
like you're not going to be wasting hours on Canva, switching out
Mm.
font for several hours. Um, and it's pretty amazing to hear. I was having this catch up with one of my clients who I did branding for.
Yeah.
She was sharing how it actually made tangible changes in her business.
Yeah.
And like, wow, she didn't even share this with me yet. It was coming up live where
Mm.
she had trained heroes and mentors, like find like recognizing
Yeah.
her work, complimenting her branding.
Mhm,
Her
mhm.
she had clients wanting to work more with her, like one interested in a year long. container with her.
Yeah, so
What
good.
she did about her own branding. Like, that's huge. Like, all of those things, it's not just a logo. It is that is, like, the last thing that I would ever offer for someone when
Mhm,
they're about branding. It's this whole ecosystem,
mhm.
to represent your gifts, your work. And, I would really recommend this for folks who are more clear about what they're doing, what their work is, and not probably not for someone who's still starting out because they're still figuring out,
Yes.
their who they're wanting to work for or what their work is, because that's totally valid to change and experiment. But then if you have invest in branding too early, you'll want to change it.
I think
It's
that's
not
a very good point. Yeah.
yeah. So
Mm.
I definitely, and even if, you have never had branding, that's totally fine. But as long as you're clear on, yeah, this is the work that I'm doing and I'm ready to just package it up and elevate me to the next level with
Mhm.
my branding, then amazing. I think definitely branding,
Yeah.
is fine.
I feel like as you're talking, it's the same sort of when I'm talking to a new copywriting client, I often will get a like my brain turns people and feelings into like colors or textures or some like that type of tangible thing. And that helps me to almost slide back into the skin of that energy or however when I'm writing copy for them. But I often have this conversation where it's exactly what I just said. The client said to me, like, you are different to what you're. I feel like you're talking about the design version of what I talk about with copywriting, where it's like, if you're this sparkly magenta person, why the f- are you writing like you're vanilla? Like, stop it. And I think that that's what branding has a potential to be doing too. It's like sending out a bat signal that's this frequency and this energy. And so you're receiving in maybe clients that aren't, a good match because you're not actually, not, and I know the word authentic is so overused, it makes me vomit in my mouth sometimes, but, you're not sending out the energy and the frequency that is really true to you. And I think when you talk about that client that had tangible changes, that's what it's about. It's like staking a claim and then transmitting the realness of who you are. I'm interested when you're working with someone who's already got, like, just say they've had branding done or they've DIY'd or whatever. What are some of the biggest kind of things that can potentially get in the way? Although, as I'm asking that question, you probably don't have you don't have that problem because you're not sending out that bat signal. But like, what would be potential barriers to doing a more intuitive, inner child informed brand?
I'm curious, do you mean someone who might be resistant to the practice or something
Well,
else?
not so much resistant necessarily, but I'm just thinking like in terms of copywriting, I think the biggest things that can stand in people's way are, can I really be like that? Will people judge me? Will people reject me if I say, like, can I really say that? So it's kind of like that conditioned end of things. Or do people look at other brands and it's like, oh, this is the way that we do it at the moment, so I have to look similar, or I don't know. There may not be any parallels in what you're seeing.
Yeah. I was actually running a brand challenge, and it was kind of getting a taste of these creative rituals and inviting
Yeah.
folks in a simple practice for 3 days.
Hmm.
And it was interesting to see some common questions and things that people would bring into a group chat.
Hmm.
Um, and I would remind or kind of guide them into, maybe we don't put so much focus on this, but actually guide them to look at like this other thing
Yeah,
that would,
gotcha.
and so that would be something that I would see more of, folks kind of putting more focus on some smaller details that, they've been wasting hours on Canva for
Yep.
example.
We've all been there, Isabel. We've all been there.
Yep, and gently guiding them to be like, "Hey, let's actually, like, look at this other thing that would actually help the overall decisions and the direction that your branding is." So, there was one person that I was guiding through a brand audit that I have,
Yeah.
and they had all of these different colors that they, vision from the brand challenge that I had guided folks through.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, okay. They're sharing these things. I'm listening and I'm, paying attention to what's coming through. But already when they shared these colors, it was overwhelming. It was repetitive and redundant. Um, and it was creating too many choices. Like one of the
Mm.
we were sharing was, I don't know, I'm not reaching for this color palette much. I don't know how to bring it in. Um, and all of these things. And I guided them to, hey, this one looks just like this other palette that you created. Let's remove that.
Yeah,
Um,
beautiful.
let's consolidate this. So some of those details people I'll see get overwhelmed with
Yeah.
doing a lot or focusing on something else where um it's taking them away from actually serving their clients in the community
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
all these other things that they can do to enroll folks into or serve their clients. Another thing that I checked in with them around that was they didn't love doing Canva. And so I'm like, okay, let's check in with what are this is a common question that I love asking
Yeah.
because I don't want to force these mass produced frameworks or like
Yes. Yeah.
strategy. But one of the questions I do ask in the beginning is what kind of content already feels easy and fun for you?
Yes. Oh,
Here.
$64 million question. Yes.
Yeah. Because we make more resistant
Yeah, exactly.
show up and it's not going to be fun. So what are the areas that are already easy, is fun and pleasurable for you? Some people love creating reels and videos. Other people hate that and prefer just simple text
Mhm,
writing and they're
mhm.
writers. So, okay, well, what are the couple, maybe like two, three types of content styles that you enjoy doing or the platforms even that you enjoy
Yes. Oh my
doing?
goodness.
Some
Yeah.
people who love long form, others who are more into short form. And, this is another aspect of what is true to you and how do you want to show up instead of spreading yourself thin. That was another thing that I would
Oh,
see.
so good. It's the same stuff, isn't it? It's like, yes, okay, a framework is great and it's a guide, but it needs to feel good and juicy to do. Otherwise, you will just resist the crap out of it. Like when I decided earlier this year, I did like a 30-day Instagram reel thing. So I was like, oh, I should be doing more reel, as soon as the should word comes out, bah, bah. And then it was this whole like, and you've got to do this and you've got to do that. And I really, really, really did commit myself to this 30 days. And after the end of the 30 days, I looked back at what I'd created and I was like, this just does not feel like me. It did not feel easy. It took up a lot of time. And in that time, because I'm a writer by nature, I could have written 10 really magnetic and true for me carousels, and now they're 20, 20 pages. Instead of the 10, but that would have been much more easy for me, but also um, been more representative of me and my brand. But it's that when we're trying things on for size and we must do it this way rather than saying, okay, this is a framework. It's just like, this is the masculine edges. Now, where do you want to flow inside of that and do it in a way that's easy? I think that's the step where, I don't know, we can either get caught in resistance and procrastination, or we use it as like busy work to avoid actually what will move the needle in our business. And I'm like, I see you, you little, you little tricky little self-sabotage strategy there.
Isn't that interesting for that come up and, having tenderness and gentleness with that part of ourselves of
Exactly.
fun. Because when we're crossing this new threshold of like, oh my gosh, I'm getting visible. That's another thing with
Yes.
um resistance to new branding that will take you to this next level.
Mhm.
There can be potentially that resistance because you're going to get new level of visibility and it's inevitable, it's going to happen when you
Yeah.
have this really um, alluring branding that is so true and representative of you. I've been experiencing this. Clients of that client experience conversation I just shared is experiencing it.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. But yes, like how do you also take care of your nervous system, your body, so that you can increase the
Absolutely.
capacity to
Mm.
be able to, experience that without running away, freezing, shutting everything
Shutting
down.
down. Yep. Yep, yep. This is actually where I wanted to go next as well. So when you were talking about the two through lines, like and I always say, I use the language of the golden thread that runs through your life that, leads you to where you're meant to be, unfolds things. So you're talking about the design, but I also want to come back to running these collective and community events and spaces. And because the fact that you said a social impact retreat where you're doing inner child work, I'm like, whoa, hang on a minute. Tell me more about this. So how, yeah, where did that start from? Just tell me where it started. That's what I most want to be.
Yes. So I think the most early memory that I could clearly pinpoint this is in high school. I was really involved with this community service club. I was a
Hmm.
student here for 3 years.
Yeah.
Uh, I was president 2 of those years. And yeah, and so, and I just loved being a part of these community experiences
Hmm.
and creating some sort of um, change in the community in the small way that I could do with these local community service events.
Yes. So great.
And just seeing some of the things that the student leaders before me were doing inspired me. It also was this opportunity to have this developed confidence in speaking. I was so shy.
So
Talking in front of people was absolutely terrifying, but it was interesting because when I was going into my 3rd year of high school, I was being recommended to be co-president, but I'm like, "No," I was going into it thinking, I think I just wanna be, like, secretary or
yeah, yeah,
something."
yeah. The back. Yep.
Right,
Supporter.
right.
Yep.
Fine, yeah, like hiding. But the outgoing president was just like nonchalantly, "Oh yeah, I want you to be co-president." And so like the level of leadership that I'm like, "Okay." And that
Mm.
happened in college where I was really involved with the Filipinx American online or on campus
Yeah.
community organizations. And I was also president my last year of college,
Yeah.
only because the outgoing presidents wanted me to be applying for it. I also wanted to be in
Yeah.
the
I'm like, not again.
right. Okay, again, this is happening. And looking back, there was something that they saw in me, and I really appreciated that. But again, that was because I was so involved from this love of um, this opportunity to cultivate spaces for others to feel courageous in getting into vulnerable conversation. In college, it was around cultural identity. In high school, it was around like, um, community service. And then after college, I loved that kind of work of cultivating community gatherings and inviting others into getting to the depths of themselves who are also passionate about collective change, whether local or, beyond. And so that just the different iterations of that, like passion projects, look like being a part of nonprofits events or being an ambassador for another organization. And so it just was something that I followed, even though it may not have been directly related to my design career. It was something that I loved doing. I loved having conversations with people. And, you know, like I said, when I was let go of my job, everything of those passions just became a culmination of that
Yeah. You've
newfound.
combined the two of them.
Yeah,
That's because I see the work that you're doing with branding as well is also helping the people that do that work in the world, like the cultivating the change, cultivating community. So it's like you're doing it in your own way, and then you're rippling that out by working with the people who are also doing that. So it's, yeah, the through line or the golden thread, whatever you want to call it, like it really feels very strong. I also love the language that you're using. That the word cultivate to me is such a word. It speaks to me about, planting seeds and tending to them and then inviting other people to tend as well. Yeah, it gives me, I always say it gives my soul feels like it's wagging its tail at the moment. It's that sort of language. Because, yeah, and I love the fact that you found a way to ripple them through, but also you're still bringing people together all the time as well now. So, like, with brand, but when you were saying about the 3-day brand thing, how much do you find doing that sort of work in a group or a collective? Like, how does that change the experience for people versus doing one-on-one?
Right. Yeah. It's definitely a very different energy. And I think
Mhm.
it's depending on um, the needs and the goals of
Yes.
people or maybe what I'm interested in putting out there. And
Yes.
so for a group setting, I've had a group program around creative mentorship.
Mhm.
Now I'm exploring, focus more on branding. And so with community spaces, it really creates a different kind of energy. It's this collective energy. It isn't just me, teaching one thing one
Mhm.
way, which, teaching I don't see as a one way thing. I'm also learning from
Yes.
others, even if it is a one on one experience. But in a group it's this shared knowledge, this knowledge exchange from other people, because I know other people have incredible wisdom
Yeah.
and experiences and intuitive messages and visions that they have that I am limited in being a one person. And so that's what I saw the beauty of in just that 3-day challenge in an Instagram group chat, the affirmations they would share with each other when I
Oh,
was
beautiful.
like, they could support each other. Even after the challenge, I just saw that someone had a question of something that they were testing out, and there was a handful of people that shared their feedback.
Oh,
Like,
so
that
good.
where people
Yeah.
come together, have a shared desire or goal or intention, and by, getting clear on that will help call in the folks who are meant to come together and help make that space.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've been in some group experiences that didn't have that clarity or that intention in the beginning, so it had felt kind of wobbly or
Yeah.
not really clear on what we were doing or why we were all gathered. Um, and when someone is really clear about the focus of the group, it's so powerful.
And it
And
feeds the group when you as the and yeah, I agree. The teaching is always two ways. So I use leader in a collective. You're leading because you're facilitating, but because the reason I asked that is because even as you shared about like the president, the nomination from other people, president, it feels like it's an invitation or an initiation to step into leadership. And I wonder, because to me, the way that you talk about branding is very much being led by the soul of your business to the next evolution of your work or the next level of visibility or finding your voice through branding. And then I'm the reason I asked about the group is sometimes when a group is beautifully facilitated and when the intentions are seated like that, it's not just you seeing that person, as the objective observer, because we are all inside of our own, ideas about ourselves and whatever, our own self-identity. But in a group, I imagine there's also the ability for all the other participants to be observing, as you said, and supporting. But also, I wonder whether, I don't know, I have this picture in my mind of like, all the candles unlit, and then someone is saying yes to their initiation into the next level or evolution of their leadership. And that by definition, you know, is it's not permission giving, but do you know what I mean? I'm not using my language very well, but
well, I totally get it. I even as like a participant in other group settings
yes.
or, where I'm learning in a mastermind, for example, or
Mhm.
something like that, where it is a different kind of learning. I love different types of learning, and
Yeah, me too.
this kind of learning is learning among your peers. It's when it's your peers, you might have different kinds of businesses or work, but you're kind of on a similar level of, let's say, for this example, growing or developing your new branding or your first ever branding or refreshing your branding. And it creates this level of like courage to be like, oh, they're also on this similar new venture as me,
Yeah.
and I'm not alone.
Yes.
So it feels like this this group confidence or group
Mm.
encouragement and affirmation to be with peers on like a horizontal level versus maybe with like a facilitator or teacher or some kind of person. There is like still this inherent hierarchy,
Yeah.
which I always love, but
Yeah,
it's
I know. So
so sometimes maybe, there's different kinds of feelings that might come up, whatever that might
yes.
be. But what I do love when connecting with in a horizontal peer type of learning is that this confidence or this courage to mess up or learn together.
Yes. Oh, so good.
There's this what yeah I think I
There's a
do.
there's a playfulness as you're
Yeah.
talking because when you're talking about the inner child play before, something that really struck me, excuse me, that I haven't thought about before was that the messiness and the not being attached to the outcome and the swapping from bit to bit. And I think maybe as we become adults, we kind of, I don't know, turn this into, we've got to finish where we've started and like all of those types of things. And it's like, but if we can bring back the playfulness and yeah, being courageous to try new things, then it feels a lot lighter. Like there's not a right way and a wrong way to do things.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. And another analogy that came to mind is, let's
Yeah.
say you're in a university setting and you had a group project.
Yep.
It feels like not at like you don't have to be as formal and
Correct.
direct.
Yes.
You get to just like chat and ideate and experiment and throw ideas at each other. But once you're in like presenting to the professor, like, oh, yeah,
Yep.
there's this other
Gotta
way
get
of.
serious now.
And not to say that that equals, what we've been talking about,
Yeah.
but kind of like in a more extreme example of maybe the kind of energy of what it means to potentially be in a learning environment with a group of peers at
Yes.
similar levels versus being thrown into um, another space with people who might not be at a different level, whether more ahead of you or maybe a few steps um, before you.
Hmm.
And yeah, so that was a motivation
I
that came
really
to
love
mind.
this. Sorry, look. Um, I'm just wondering also with actually in terms of like if someone's listening to this and they've listened to the left-handed kind of end of things, and I hope that everyone did pause and do it because it is so like I went for a walk with my dog. I'm in the middle of a paddock and I'm like, damn it, I don't have a journal. So I came home and did it. So even if you're in the car or whatever listening, that's fine, but do it later. When if someone's listening to this and what we're talking about, particularly in terms of like the mismatch or the dissonance, like maybe what their branding feels like at the moment doesn't feel right anymore. I don't want to use the word right. Doesn't feel aligned or doesn't feel like them anymore. I always say feels just like them, like, that type of air quote thing. Um, and they do the left-handed exercise and their brand is asking for either a pivot or an up level or a different feel or whatever. Do you have, where should people start? Do you have something that people can come and sort of like marinate in for a bit to get some more Isabel gold? Because I feel like there's going to be a lot of people listening going, what do I do with this information?
Yes. So there are, infinite ways to go about this. And of course, checking in with your capacity and what your goals are, um, what your, maybe timely goals and then maybe like long term goals
Mhm.
and see what what is the first step that you can do? And breaking it down into small bite-sized actions because it can be overwhelming to say, I'm going to update my website. That's a whole project as
Yes.
yeah. And so maybe it's okay, I'm going to update the hero section tagline
Mhm.
today.
Mhm.
Timer for 30 minutes. That's it. I get to check mark that task off and I'm one step closer in updating my website. So that's something that I would recommend as a high level just because there could be an infinite number of
Yes.
things to look dirty. Is. So checking with yourself again, what are your more urgent timely goals and then maybe long term and choosing a project or something like that, like a larger thing that you want to refresh in your branding and then breaking it down in these um day or even like minute type of task so
Mhm.
that they can be so that you can have this sense of accomplishment too because if we um, get discouraged really early, then we are more prone to, again, dropping things, freezing, stopping, putting it away, and never returning to it. And how can you advance these little wins to feel confident piece by piece to keep going?
Yeah.
So that's a tidbit that I would love to invite you to try.
That is excellent advice. Yes. Having a whole heap of elephants back here with one bite taken out of them. Yes. I really love that. And I really love so much of what you're saying about the creativity and the ritual aspect of branding, but also just reflecting back for everybody, as you're saying, check in with your capacity. There is definitely an energetic capacity to consider in terms of visibility and in terms of readiness for next evolution or whatever. And um, I feel like working with someone like you around branding would be a very different experience to, going to the quote unquote standard. I don't know whether I'm not dissing people. What I'm saying is in a normal framework, there's a step by step and it's very brain based. Whereas it sounds like you are taking the time to actually check in with people about, where's this coming from and taking it more energetically minded is what I want to say. I don't know if that's the language you'd use.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love that reflection. And, fun fact, I am actually in 3 different teacher trainings, so it'll be really interesting to see how all of those inform and inspire my brain.
Mm. What are you learning? What are you learning?
So I'm in this mindfulness meditation teacher training and a spiritual somatic teacher training that has a lot of movement and dance, and another one on facing money traumas, and all
Mhm.
are really focused with decolonized lens, which I
Awesome.
absolutely really, it's really thoughtful, intentional, really holistic, and yeah, just I happen to have all of these happening in this time. I wasn't planning on having 3
I
at
have
the same.
had that happen at the moment. Yeah. I'm in 3 different containers with 3 different, yeah, interlocking, and I'm also wondering, yeah, what the invitations will be at the end of that to sort of fold it into what I already do. That sounds fascinating though, because to me, because you talked about in Sam's episode about when you first start working with a client, like you're very much about, I think you said that you did do a meditation and stepping through different things. So it is done so beautifully and mindfully even now. And now the next layer gets to go. That's exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm excited to see how it influences my work, how it evolves my work, and what it inspires. But,
Mm.
just like the decade plus before this of just following the breadcrumbs of what I am curious and passionate about, I'm
Mm.
gonna trust that it will all fall into place like puzzle pieces.
Yeah, always does. Always does. The universal winks, like when they were putting people off and you're like, all right, I'm ready. Yeah, the little gentle nudge off the cliff. Ah, This has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you so much for coming and sharing the way that you do things. And I really, really love the fact that, every interview I do, that I am always coming back to the golden thread, but I just, yeah, it may not. And I hope this doesn't sound like, oh, the old person saying to the young person, but I just really, really honor the fact that people like you are really listening to the golden thread and the nudges from the universe before getting to the stage where they create a life that feels like you're, bleeding yourself dry and you have to make huge changes. Like, I think it's amazing, amazing, amazing. The future is in good hands. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It truly was such a joy to chat with you. And, for those who are listening who are curious about this, I'd love to
Yeah.
continue. Hey,
Yes,
I
definitely. Where can we find you? This is the most important question.
oh, yeah, thank you for the invitation. Yeah, well, once again, I am Isabel. You can find me at Unconventional Bliss on all the platforms. And it's just been such a joy to be a soulful brand designer and creative wellness guide for folks like those who might be listening. And I'd love to invite you into maybe two different things, either like staying connected and letting me know in the DMs how the practice went. I love
Yes,
asking,
we want to know. We want to know. We should do
I love asking.
screenshots and tagging. No, maybe that's too far. But anyway, continue.
So definitely, usually podcasts are just this one way thing. And I'm curious, who's on the other end listening?
Yes.
Listening. I asked this on another podcast that I was in. You were probably one of those CMs. Like, please let me know what insights came through. And another thing that I'd love to invite you into is my free 3-day email series, which was one where I was talking about the intuitive brand refresh, where if you're curious about these creative rituals,
Mhm.
you'll get a ritual and prompt each day for 3 days straight to your email. And you get to play with this and really help get started on elevating or pivoting your branding to connect with your soul
Wow.
client community. So,
Oh,
yeah.
you really should be a copywriter. The elevating and pivoting is such beautiful. Your language is gorgeous. Where can we find? Do you have a link to share to that specific series, or just go to your website and it'll be easy?
You should be able to find it on my
Okay, cool.
website,
Beautiful.
changemakers.com.
Exciting. Thank you so much, Isabel. It's been a joy.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Wild and Finally Fucking Free. I'm Kylie, your host. And given that I know you would have enjoyed this episode, please do us a favor and subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow freedom seekers. Remember, being seen in all our mess and magic helps heal ourselves and the world, because the world needs more wild and finally fucking free humans. Have a great day.